of natural events that happen. Whenever there is some kind of natural events that happen, just as earthquake, floods, storm, volcanic eruption, anything that happens, consider this table is shaken. When the table is shaken, this amount of population, which is small number of population, is lost. Is lost. Due to what? Due to natural events. Either it can be earthquake or it can be a flood or any other natural event. So this is called bottleneck effect. What do you mean by bottleneck effect? Write down loss of alleles from gene pool of small population due to due to catastrophic events, catastrophic or natural events. These all are sudden, okay? Earthquake happened. So whenever you shake this table, what happened? Only a small population is lost from this bottle, from this area. This is called bottleneck effect, which is a genetic drift. Is it point clear? Small population, sudden and by chance. Do you understand this term? Very important. They'll ask you. The dash affects the small population. Is it a genetic drift? By chance, it is just sudden, it's by chance. These all are the terms related to which of this effect. You should know it is to do genetic drift. Next, founders effect. What do you mean by founders effect? Founders effect when a small group when a small group of individual separates or migrates to other isolated place to form a new colony, to form a new colony, then the newer generation are different from parent generation. From parents generation. Is it clear? When a small group of individual is migrating to other isolated colony very far, and they make their own colonies, they start reproducing by themselves, they start living by themselves, then the newer generation are different from the parent generation. This is a call of founders. This is a migration. This is a movement from their small area to a different area. Small group is moving to a different area and produce their own colonies which are different from their parent generation. This is called founders effect. Bottleneck effect is loss of a allele. Very small population is lost from a loss of allele from the gene pool of very small population due to any natural events that happen. That is called bottleneck effect. These 2 points are important. Any difficulties? Let's go through it quickly. Hello? Yes. ಆ ನಂಬರ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಆ ನಂಬರ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡಿ. ಇದು ಆಂಜನೇಯ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ಆ ನಂಬರ್ಗೆ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ನಂಬರ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಆ ನಂಬರ್ಗೆ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲೇ ನಾನು ಗೋವಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಈ ನಂಬರಿಂದ ನಾನೇ ಕಳ್ಸಿರೋದು. ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ನಂಬರ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು. ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಆಂಜನೇಯ ಹತ್ರನೇ. ಕಾನ್ಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ. अच्छा करे, 1 मिनट रुक जा, कर रही हूँ मैं. Just yes, I'll get back to you. Just revise this 2 minutes. हेलो, हाँ जी, 1 मिनट रुक जाइए, कर रही हूँ. हेलो आंटी, थोड़ा एड्रेस बोलो उनको आंटी, अमेज़न वाले को. हाँ, अमेज़न वाले. सुनो उनको. पूजा Hello. 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 Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any doubts regarding the genetic drift? Any doubts regarding the genetic drift? Quickly tell me. Any doubts? No, right? Okay. Can we move to the next? See, if you do not respond, I'm not able to understand what's going on. Okay. Please do response. Now, we were discussing about the natural neo-Darwinism, which was the most accepted theory, right? The key, write down this, that the key concept of this theory was, key concept of this theory is, one is natural selection by Darwin, and mutation from Deveres. These are the key concepts. You remember we discussed the key concept for the previous theories also. Do you remember? What were the key concept for Darwinism? Who can answer me? Key concept for Darwinism? Branching descent and natural selection. You remember survival of fittest. Hiba, can you hear me? Okay. My question was, do you remember the key concept for theory Darwin we discussed in the last class? Do you all remember? If say yes, then say yes. If no, then say no. Do not be quiet. You understand? If you sit quietly there, I do not understand whether you are understanding it or whether no. I have told you, I don't want anybody in my class to be just one-way teaching. You need to answer. You cannot just sit quietly, dumbly there and listening to the things. You need to respond to a teacher. You understand? This is the last warning what I'm giving you. I don't want everybody to just sit there and listen. When I ask questions, do respond to a teacher. I know there's a network issue, but still, one of so many 50 plus students are there. One of you cannot respond what teacher is asking you all. And this is the last time I'm telling you. I don't want this kind of behavior again. Next, trick for factors. This is a very important. So I'm giving a tricks for factor affecting gene pool. Write down. Mahira Ranbir's GF is NRI granddaughter. This is a trick to remember. M is for mutation. R is for recombination. It's a very important chapter, my dear students. GF is gene flow. N is for nature. N is for natural selection. And then RI is for reproductive isolation. And G and D is for what? Genetic drift. This is a trick that you need to remember for factors affecting gene pool. Very important. Once done, do let me know. Done? Okay. Next. Any doubts with this? Any doubts regarding the gene mutation, gene pool? Okay, thank you for the intimation. Next. Examples for natural selection. Next, we need to study evidence and examples for natural selection. Evidence to prove natural selection or example for natural selection. First example we'll be studying is industrial melanism. Industrial melanism was experimented by Bernard Kettlewell. Bernard Kettlewell. Industrial melanism was experimented by Bernard Kettlewell. This study was done in England. This study was done in England. Okay. In the collection of moth made in 1950s, that is before industrialization, where before there was any industries, the study was done. It was observed that there were more white-winged, dull-gray-winged moths on the tree than dark-winged or melanized moth. So before industrialization in 1850s, white or gray moth were more compared to dark or winged or melanized moth. Okay, white color lichens covered the tree in the background, the white. So before industrialization, the trees were covered with white color lichen before industrialization. Okay, and the moth were also white more than gray. White moth survived, but the dark color moth was picked out by the predators. So the trees were having a lichen which was white, and they were white moth and they were gray moth. But many were white moth, less were gray moth. Why? Because this white moth, when they used to sit on the lichen, on the trees, on the lichen, they never used to be identified by the predators because their background was white and they were also white. On the white, if something black or dark color is been there, then those moths were identified and they were the food for the predators. Did you understood? That's why before industrialization, white mouths were more than the gray or dark mouth. Camouflage, you heard about camouflage? Go through this slide quickly and ask me if you have doubts. Any doubts? Go through this quickly. Okay. Did you understood? Listen to me one more time. Before the industry were formed, the trees were covered with lichens, which was white color. The moth were also white and gray. Both the form of moths were present, white moth and gray moth. But more were white moth or black moth. You consider as black moth or gray moth. But white moth were more than the black moth. Why? Because white moth, when they used to sit on the lichens, they never used to be identified by the predators. But something on the black, which is sitting on the white, could be easily identified by the predators, and the number were less. This is what this slide say. Next, however, in the collection carried out from the same area after the industrialization. Now, we're discussing about the after the industrialization. Okay, what happened? In 1920, there were more dark-winged moths in the same area than the white. Why? Because this was explained that the predators will spot a moth against a contrasting black ground. Now what happened? Now this is a after the industrialization, the bark of the tree was converted into dark color. On this dark color, the blacks were not, for example, if this is a dark color, the barks were covered with dark soot or the carbon soot or the smoke, and this black color were not identified, but whereas the red color, the white colors were easily identified by the predators on this, and now the dark colors were more compared to white moth. This is what it says. During the post-industrialization period, the tree trunks become dark due to the industry smoke and the soot. Under this condition, the white-winged moth did not survive due to the predators. Dark-winged or melanized moths survived due to the camouflage. You can see here, if it was dark, this is a lichen. The white color is lichen on the tree. Here, the white is clearly on the white, black moth is clearly identified and taken by the predators. Same way when after the industrialization, this lichens disappeared. You can see this moth here also there is a moth. You can see, but this is not identified. But white moth is easily identified and picked by predators. So black moth were more than the white moth after industrialization. And here, can you all identify where is the white moth? Somewhere here, I think. Yeah, yeah. So this is a difference. Did you understood? Any difficulties? I'll give you 1 minute to understand this, quickly understand. Important questions. Yeah. Done? Yes. Everybody clear? Clear, right? Okay. Next. Next is resistance to chemical. Use of the other example is the second example for natural selection is, so the nature is selected which moth? The nature selected dark moth. After the industrialization, before the industrialization, nature selected the white moth. Here, the next is use of pesticide and insects has resulted in resistance variant of organism in less time. Means what? For example, you have mosquitoes. On that, you spray DDT spray. When you or pesticides, okay, you spray pesticides on mosquitoes to kill mosquitoes. Now, out of this, the three will die. The three will die. But where have this two will have variation gene or mutated gene that help them to overcome this pesticides and grow. This is the DDT resistance mosquito. Nature selected now. Nature select DDT resistance gene. Okay. Or an example, antibiotic resistance gene also. If you keep on taking an antibiotic, see when there is an infection, the doctor prescribes you antibiotic. So if that shows a resistance, then the bacteria will survive. If that doesn't shows the resistance, then if there is no resistance, then there is what? The bacteria will die. If that shows the resistance, then bacteria will survive. Something like that. So this is a second example. Done. Next. See here you can see normal bacterium, and this is dead bacterium, and this is resistance bacterium. A bunch of bacteria including a resistance variety is present. Get then this bacteria is treated with what? Antibiotics. Most of the normal bacteria will die, right? After the normal bacteria die, the resistance bacteria multiply and become more common. And eventually the entire infection evolve into a resistant strain. This is called one resistance bacteria can stay back and multiply and give rise to its own colony. This is a antibiotic resistance in bacteria. Take a screenshot. Antibiotic resistance in bacteria or Lederberg's replica plate experiment. This is important. Okay. We'll study how does it happen. Antibiotic, we are still in the examples for natural selection. First, we discuss about industrialization. Then we discuss about bacteria, pest resistance. Then we are discussing about the antibiotic resistance, right? So antibiotic resistance in bacteria is given by Lederberg replica plate experiment. It was conducted by two scientists, Joshua Lederberg and Esther Lederberg. They culture the bacterial cells on the agar plate. They culture the bacteria. We have studied this in we have studied this experiment in biotechnology. Okay, same thing. So they culture the bacterial cells on the agar plate. They cultured here. They prepared the replica of this plate by gentle pressing the velvet cloth wooden block. Remember replica plating? Inoculate the colonies on the agar plate with antibiotic. Then we took one more plate which is having antibiotic. It was seen only few survive on this plate because they had a penicillin. Among this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how many? 5 or 6? 6, only few survived. The one that survived on the antibiotic plate is because they are carrying a gene resistance to antibiotic. Are you understanding? Read again. We have discussed this in the biotechnology. It was conducted by two scientists. They cultured the bacterial cells on the agar plate. Then what they do? They took the wooden block, press it on this plate. After taking that, they inoculated this onto a agar containing antibiotic penicillin. Now what should happen? The bacteria should die because in this plate there is penicillin, which is antibiotic. The bacteria dies, but there might be one or two colony that grow. Why do they grow? They grow because they have penicillin resistant gene in them. Next. Have you understood this part? Go through it. If you have any questions, ask me before we move to the next. This we have already done in biotechnology part also. All clear, my dear students? Yes? Okay, very good. Next, let's move to the next. This is done about the theories we have finished. We know which is the most important theory, most accepted theory. We have studied the different forms of theory. We know what is Darwin theory. We know what is mutation theory. We know what is Lamarck theory. We know what is neo-Darwinism theory. Among all this theory, we also know which is the most accepted theory. Do we all know these questions? Do we know all the answers for these questions? Yes or no? Have we studied this? Different theories. Have we completed the different theories? My question here is, which is the most accepted theory among all the theory you have studied? Quick. Very good, Lenina. It is neo-Darwinism. Sahil, very good. Next question. Which is the accepted or more evident evidence in evolution? Which is the most evident evidence in evolution? Paleontology. Very good. Very nice. So I hope everything is clear until here. Now we are going to study types of natural selection. Write down the next topic, types of natural selection. Types of natural selection. First one is stabilization. Stabilization. Okay. First we'll study about stabilization. Stabilization is this one. Okay. The peak is this one. Now listen to me. This stabilization, this is, let me go back. to a Word file. Okay. Stabilization. First one, for stabilizing or balancing. This is important topic for your MCQ, for your medical exam, important topic. Here what happened? Intermediate is selected. For example, listen to me. In a population, a given population, you have tall people, you have short people, you have intermediate people. Okay. So in a given population, what will be the most in number? What will be the most in number in a given population? Medium people are more, right? If you go and counting the number, the heighted people and the short people, you'll find them. But many will be intermediate, yes or no. So the nature will select the intermediate people. Are you understanding? Here, there's an increase in number of individual, and then here this is extremely low or short ones, low, and here is extremely high. Here, this number is more because the nature will select the intermediate, neither heighted, neither short. So, for example, extremely low is 4 feet. Here, extremely height you find is 7 to 8 feet. But usually the population is about, intermediates are about more than 5 feet, 5 to 5.5 feet. So this is called as stabilizing. Did you understood what is stabilizing? Write down. This is most common in this intermediate value is selected. In this intermediate value is selected by nature, and elimination of extreme and elimination of extreme. Did you got the point? Does anybody having any difficulties in this? Examples you can give has birth weight, height, sickle cell anemia in malarial infected areas, sickle cell anemia in malarial infested area, sickle cell people are more preferred in malarial infected area. So these all are the examples for stabilizing or balancing type. Extremes are eliminated. This extreme is also eliminated. This extreme is also eliminated. Only intermediate is taken in stabilizing or balancing. Any doubts to anyone? If no doubts, do tell me. If you have doubts, do tell me. Okay, Deepika. No doubt? Okay, fine. Next move. Okay. This is, we discuss this. Which one? We discuss about stabilizing. Next, we are moving to directional. The next type of natural selection is directional or progressive type. Here, what happened? It moved in one direction. For example, if you see in this slide, it is moving. You can see it is moving from here to one direction. It's moving like this. So it keeps on moving in one direction. That is called as directional. It is moving like, towards the one direction. The peak is moving from here. Before it was here. Now it is moving like this. So it is called to be a directional progression type. So let us discuss about this. Occurs due to change in environment. Occurs due to changing environment. So here, in this, the extremes were eliminated. Here, one extreme is preferred over other, over another, okay, over another with change in environment. So can anybody give me an example for this? Means, what does it say? Here, one extreme is preferred over another with change in environment. Can anybody give me an example for this? Here, peaks shift in one direction. Let me see who can give an example. We have studied this. Just read this much. You will get the answer. You need to just read this much and give me an example for directional progression. No one? Somebody should be there. My students are not so dumb. Come on, tell me. One extreme. Giraffe, Aryan. Very good. Aryan has given the answer, that is industrial melanism. Industrial melanism. Do you agree with me? Very good, Aryan. So it is example, write down industrial melanism. Then DDT resistance mosquito also is an example. But many a time this question is asked, industrial melanism. Okay, done. Lelina giraffe is an example for, yes, you can say that also an example. But for your NCRT book, for exam point of view, this is very important. Okay, Lelina? And I was expecting the black moth answer, industrial melanism. Okay, next. Any doubts to anyone? All clear? Let's move to the next. The third point is this disruptive or diversifying type. This is rare. I have told you which is common and it is rare. In this, both extremes are preferred over intermediate. In this, both extremes are preferred over intermediate. Character. So, example, snails. Snails at seabed. I'll tell you how. Listen to this. Snails at seabed. There are three types of snail. One is white, other is brown, and the third one is black. Among this, which are the one that are selected? White, brown, or black? Who will answer to this question? Who will answer to this question? Let me see. In this, both extremes are preferred over intermediate character. Shantanu, say white. Read the sentence. Everyone before answering will be reading the sentence. Very good, Sahil. It is white and black. Shanil, very good. It is white and black. Why white and black? These both are extreme. I told you extreme. Both extremes are preferred. The extremes are white and black. Why did I say so? Now, what happened? On the white is preferred. White merge with white sand. White merge with white sand. So it is not taken by the predators. It is not identified the predators. Black merge with rocks. Again, these are not identified the predators. But whereas brown can easily identified by predators. Easily identified by predators. Did you got the point? So extremes are selected. So when extremes are selected, here you get two picks. You get two picks. Where before it was intermediate. Intermediate is not, this is intermediate. This is extreme N, which is white. And this is extreme N, which is black. Now intermediate is brown. So brown is identified by the predators. This is called disruptive or diversing type, which is a very rare case. I hope you understood with an examples. I want you all to go through these three types of Darwin's, three different types of Darwin's study, natural selection. That is stabilizing, directional, and disruptive. Quickly, and do tell me if you have any doubts. Done? Any doubts, Lenina? Others, any doubts? Anybody, any doubts? Everything is clear to all, each and every one in the class. Because we're moving to the next topic now. Clear? Okay, good. So can you see the graphs? You should know this graph. They'll ask you to identify. MCQs will be from here. They'll ask you to identify which is a disruptive graph, which is a stabilizing graph, which is a directional graph. You should know them. Okay. Next. Next, we are moving to the topic. If everything is clear, we are moving to the topic. Hardy-Vanber's law or principle. A very important questions can come from here. Hardy was a Britisher and he was a mathematician. Write down. He was a British and mathematician, Hardy, and whereas Wenbers was a German, a physician. German, a physician. What does he state? He says it states that allelic frequency. You know what is allelic frequency? The gene pool. Allelic frequency, you know. The allelic frequency in a population are stable and constant from generation to generation. If population has no selection, if nature doesn't select them, if there is no mutation, if there is no migration, if there is no genetic drift, means movement of the population or any climatic conditions, founders effect, bottleneck effect, if there is no genetic drift and are random mating. Very, very important. This point, this statement is very important. Random mating is very important. Okay, it states that in a random mating of population, the gene frequency and the genotype remain. You can write down one more definition, which will be easy for you all. In a random or randomly mating population, the gene frequency and genotype remains constant or stable generation after generation after generation. If a population has no selection, no mutation, no migration, no genetic drift, and random mating, that we have mentioned already. So factor affecting this law would be mutation, recombination, gene migration, genetic drift, natural selection are all these factors that are affecting this Hardy-Weinberg principle. He says when there is a random mating in the population, the gene frequency and the genotype remain same generation after generation. Only when it is not affected by nature selection, mutation, migration, genetic drift, then only the frequency of or genotype remains same. Any difficulties, will come back to p square, that one part, but have you understood this part? Yes. Now, okay, you can note down this you might be knowing the what do you mean by allele, you know what do you mean by gene pool, gene frequency, population genetics. You can just note down this if you want. What is population? Is a group of individuals in the same geographical area. They can be interbreed and share same gene pool. You know what is gene pool now. Okay, we have studied the gene pool. Allele, alternate form of gene present on a same locus of homologous chromosome pair. You have studied this in your in botany, I guess. Gene pool, total number of gene and the allele in the population. We have studied, like, we last time, if you remember, I made a group. This, so all the genes in this population is called gene pool. Gene frequency, it is a percentage of allele in relation to the total number of allele of gene pool. The percentage of allele, how much percentage of alleles are present in a given population, in a given gene pool. Population genetics is a study of gene frequency in a population. These are the terms. Done? Clear? Now, the five factors known to affect, right? We'll discuss about this later. The five factors known to affect the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium is gene migration, genetic drift, mutation, genetic recombination, natural selection. If this doesn't happen, then only the gene pool frequency, the gene pool will remain same. If something happens like this, then the constant will not be a constant generation after generation. Then there is a disturbance in this principle. So this can, the principle, the constant or the stability from of the frequency of the gene remains same generation after the generation if they do not come across this factor. If one of this factor get enters, then there is a change in the gene frequency. Can anybody tell me how many classes are we done for this evolution? September, October, November, September, this is right. October, November, December, January, February, March. See, I told you, if you remember, beginning of the class, I told you I'll give you 6 months to study. Before the 6 month, I'll finish my portion. I am doing my promise. Now, in return, you know what you have to give me. You do not have to give me, but yes, what you gain, that is my achievement. If you gain your medical seat, that is my achievement, right? So I'll be completing the portion very soon. I'll be starting with the revision, but me working alone from this side is not going to help. If you people want it, then you have to put your all your efforts. Now it's only be you and your book. कोई नहीं आएगा इन दोनों के बीच. Me and my books, me and my working table, me and my study table, along with my books. That's it. इसके आगे पीछे कुछ नहीं आएगा. Neither phone, neither TV, neither any entertainment, neither family, no? Neither. What is the last chapter in zoology? This is the last chapter? No. We have to complete a small portion on strategies of food production. So we'll be completing that. Okay. So my question was, how many chapters, how many classes have I conducted for this chapter? Okay, have you done the factors? Now, next question, next thing you need to remember is, please write down this equation. Now, write down this equation. Okay, before writing down the equation, let us write down the some significance of this principle. Okay, where should I write? Yes, Gaurav, we will be revising 11th portion also. Significance of that principle I'm writing in this on this slide. Significance of Hardy principle, Hardy-Weinberg principle. Okay, first one, we can calculate the gene frequency in a population. Second one, if there is a change in gene frequency, if there is change in gene frequency, it indicates the evolutionary change. It indicates the evolutionary change. See, I want each and everyone to score maximum in your biology for your board exam. Five classes are done. This is 6. Okay, well, good. Thank you, Sarah. We can calculate the gene frequency in a population, okay, by using this principle. And also, if there's a change in the gene frequency, then we know there is evolution, right? So this is the significance of this principle. Okay, now, next. I hope you're done with the writing, or do you want me to wait? Next. Okay, now we'll study this equation, which is very important. P plus Q square is equal to P square plus 2PQ plus Q square is equal to 1. Okay, this is the equation. Or there's one more equation which is called P plus Q is equal to 1. Okay. Now what is P? P is the frequency of allele A, capital. What is Q? Is a frequency of recessive allele, dominant allele, recessive allele. This is dominant and this is recessive. You know, small letter is represented by recessive. Next, what is P squared? The frequency of individual of AA. Again, it is frequency of homozygous dominant. Homozygous dominant. Have you studied this part in your botany? Then Q square is a frequency of individual of homozygous recessive. Write down homozygous recessive. So double A is homozygous dominant. Double A capital letter are homozygous dominant. Double A small letter is homozygous recessive. Whereas 2PQ is a frequency of heterozygous individual. Heterozygous individual, that is AA. This should be understood very clearly. P क्या है? Dominant frequency है. Q क्या है? Recessive frequency है, allele है. P square क्या है? Dominant frequency of individual, homozygous है. और ये recessive है पर homozygous है. Then 2PQ क्या है? Is an individual but it is heterozygous. Clear? Next. I hope you're done with the writing. With this important, okay? Questions can be from here. Important. Now, who can tell me? This is the one question. The frequency of dominant allele is 0.9. Calculate the frequency of recessive allele in that population. So, who can do this and tell me the answer? What he's saying, he's given the dominant allele. How much? 0.9. Calculate the frequency of recessive. Recessive मतलब कौन सा वाला पूछ रहा है? Q. So, what should be the answer of Q? Very good. P plus Q is equal to 1. Q is equal to 1 minus P, which is equal to 0.1. Understood? Next one. Very nice. Solve the next question. All the two questions, both the two questions, and give me an answer. Both the questions and give me an answer. Answers, I'm waiting. Is done? Everybody done? Any answers there? What is the answer for second question? Are you all there? Are you all there? I'm audible. 0.16. Very good, Aryan. The answer is 0.16. How 0.16? Very good, Shantanu. It is 0.16. Syed Abdul? Yes. So Q is how much? 0.6. We need to find out P square, right? P plus Q is equal to 1. So P is equal to 1 minus Q. P is equal to 0.4 and P square is equal to 0.16. Is it point clear? Yes. Next. Third question. What is the answer for the third question? Very good. It is 0.16. What about third question? Third question. What is the answer for third question? Calculate the percentage of heterozygous individual. See, we have completed the zoology, not completed entirely. Yes, we are completing the zoology portion, but I don't think that we have skipped anything. I have tried to cover each and every point what is required for you for both board as well as for your medical exam. Is it clear? All the content what is required has been shared to you. Now it's only from your side that you are going to solve the MCQs, you're going to read the NCRT book, and then you're going to give your best. Is it point clear? The content you have, keeping the content on the table is not going to help you. You have to read, you have to open your books and read. Are you understanding? And I'm not going to leave you also. Remember, I want my student to work hard. I want my student to get into the seat. So we'll start a revision very soon, and you people will do the way I'm going to tell you. If the whoever is not doing, I'll not allow them to attend my class. The homework given to you, if you're not doing it, then see you. Bye bye. I'll not take you inside the class. If the student, whoever is really want to get into the medical seat or who want to score very good scoring in your board exam, only those will be entertained in my class. Are you done with the question number 3? What is an answer? Is anyone with question number 3? Waiting for your reply. It's time up. Abida. Very good, Abida. It is 42%. Everybody got 42%. How? Kavya, very nice. It is 42%. See, he has given you P square, which is 49%, right? 49% is 0.49. Then how much is P? 0.49 is equal to 0.7. P is 0.7. Now Q is equal to 1 minus P, which is equal to 1 minus 0.7, where Q is equal to 0.3, right? Now we need to find out heterozygous, that is 2pq. How do we find out? P squared plus 2pq plus q squared is equal to 1. So 2pq is equal to 2 into 0.7 into 0.3. 0.3 is 0.3 is what? Q, and 0.7 is P, which is equal to 0.42. But we need in percentage. The question is in percentage. So when we do it in a percentage, 0.42 will become 42%. The answer is 42. Is anybody who have not understood this? Anyone who have not understood this? Anyone who have not understood this? Everybody understood? All clear? Yes. If it's all clear, well, good. Anyone with any doubts, do let me know. Any doubts for today's class before we wind up? Any doubts for today's class? Quickly. Any doubts for today's class there? Each and everyone. See, Aryan, your question is founder effect and gene flow is same? Founder effect and gene flow is same. Yes. Okay. There is a flow of immigration of the movement. The only thing is in founder effect is a movement. Yes, very small population where they move out is similar to the gene flow. Is it clear, Aryan? Okay. So no doubts for today's class. All clear. If it's all clear, in the next class, we'll be starting with a very small portion that is called human evolution. We'll be dealing with human evolution. Then we are done with the very big chapter, very interesting chapter, and very scoring chapter that is evolution. Okay? If there are no doubts, all the best. Keep learning and keep going. We'll see you in the next class. Okay? Bye bye, everyone. Take care. You're welcome. Bye bye. Keep studying. See you in the next class with human evolution, which is a part of this chapter. A small part which will complete very soon. Okay?